A bit dramatic, much? Party pooper. Hello, I am the FanFic Critic. I read it, you listen. The Nostalgia Critic. Who here does not know who the Nostalgia Critic is? Well, some of you might not, but I think most of you do. Hell, I know who he is. He's someone who reviews movies, TV shows, nostalgic stuff from like the 90s and 80s. He is on thatguywiththeglasses.com. And you know, he's pretty famous for an internet celebrity. So today's fanfic is about him. Yay. Now, seeing the fanfic is way too long for me to read out loud, it will thankfully be a summary review. That doesn't mean it's not going to be painful. The fanfic is called Nostalgia Critic Review Fanfic. Let's start with the title of that fanfic. Of this fanfic, I'm sorry. It's grammatically wrong. It sounds like a caveman is saying it. Nostalgia Critic Review Fanfic! That's what it sounds like. It should say, the Nostalgia Critic reviews a fanfic. Or in this case, he reviews multiple fanfics, seeing each chapter of the story is about him reviewing a different fanfic. So it should be called, the Nostalgia Critic Reviews Fanfics. That's what it should be called. Now, you guys want to know the premise of this story? Oh, it's very complex. The Nostalgia Critic, he reviews fanfics. That's it, pretty much. It's him reading fanfics out loud and reviewing them. Gee, who else does that? I can't put my finger on it. Me! And not just me either. There's the Fanfiction Critic on YouTube. And if you really want to count Sage, well, Sage, he just kind of reads them out loud. He doesn't actually review them. But still, pretty much, there's already people out there who review fanfics on internet shows. So this fanfic in general is kind of stupid if you think about it, because there already are fanfic critics out there. But I'm not pissed off about the fanfic because it's having the Nostalgia Critic review fanfics. I'm just pissed off because the idea of it is just kind of silly. I could see this being a one-shot deal with the Nostalgia Critic reviewing a fanfic. Because, you know, that would be interesting. Like, say, if he got dared by another member of thatguywiththeglasses.com to read a fanfic, or I don't know, like he loses a challenge to like the Angry Video Game Nerd, and the Angry Video Game Nerd for some oddball reason makes him read a fanfic. That would be a better premise, but no, this entire story is pretty much him reviewing fanfic after fanfic after fanfic, so he's not really the Nostalgia Critic anymore. He's pretty much a male version of me. Yeesh, and they call me a ripoff. So it's kind of silly. And you guys know my other reason why I'm not a big fan of this fanfic. Because I consider the Nostalgia Critic to be a real person. And you guys all know that I do not like it when you write fanfics about real people. I mean, at least they don't call him Doug Walker in here, so I guess it's kind of okay, but still, it bothers me. And I know I'm going to get a couple of you saying, oh, well, you didn't have a problem with the Siskel and Ebert fanfic you reviewed. Well, I did have a problem with that fanfic, but my mistake was that I didn't mention it in the review. Because the fanfic was actually innocent and didn't mangle Siskel and Ebert, I forgot to mention, oh, by the way, don't write fanfics like this. So I should have mentioned it in that review, but you know, it's in the past, and I'm saying this now, so Daniel, if you're watching, although your fanfic about Siskel and Ebert was good, I would encourage you to not write any more fanfics about them because they're real people. Just don't write fanfics about real people. Now, the thing with the Nostalgia Critic, it's iffy with him. Some may say that he's not a real person, but you know, to me he is. I mean, when the Nostalgia Critic started off on YouTube, he was a real person. He just called himself the Nostalgia Critic so he can have a title. That's how most of us internet personalities have started off. That's just how it is. Okay, let's stop the review for 1 second, guys. Hi. This is Megan Wessels, the creator of FanFic Critic. I just wanted to interrupt this to explain the whole real person thing better to you. Now, what the FanFic Critic was saying about the Nostalgia Critic starting off as on YouTube as a real person is true. When Doug Walker started the Nostalgia Critic, it was him, just calling himself the Nostalgia Critic. But what the FanFic Critic here fails to mention is that as Doug's show went on, the Nostalgia Critic became more and more of a character and became more separate from Doug Walker. The same could be said for the FanFic Critic. When I started as the FanFic Critic back in episode 1, it was just me reviewing the fanfic. But, as you guys can clearly see as my show has gone on, the FanFic Critic herself has developed more into a character. Is she still me? In a sense, yeah, but in a way, no. It's a little confusing. I just needed to clear this up. So what I'm trying to say is you technically could write fanfics about the Nostalgia Critic, although the FanFic Critic says you're not supposed to. But technically you can. Now, if you have fanfics involving Doug Walker, that would be a no-no. And the Angry Video Game Nerd in Nostalgia Critic / fanfic was definitely a no-no because it was implied that it was the real people in that, especially seeing that Angry Video Game Nerd was called James for most of the story. Well, I believe I've had my fun interrupting this episode of FanFic Critic, so let's move on with the actual show. TTFN. Okay, this story as a whole, it's not bad. I mean, things about it could be better. It's just kind of mediocre, and it gets kind of repetitive after a while. I mean, some of the things that the Nostalgia Critic has to read is kind of funny and stuff, and he does interact with other personalities from thatguywiththeglasses.com, but, I mean, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, if you guys really want to read fanfics about the Nostalgia Critic, this one would probably be the one to read because, you know, it doesn't involve him having sex with the Angry Video Game Nerd or having him get killed because he has a brain growing inside his head. It's quite tame compared to other fanfics I've read about him. But, yeah. So this fanfic's okay. Although the title needs to be fixed because the title looks like a 2-year-old wrote it down. Nostalgia Critic Review Fanfic. Sounds like a caveman wrote it. Well, I'm the FanFic Critic. I read it, you listen, and you know what? I want to see what his latest episode is this week.